All right, y'all. So I want to go ahead and react to this little video clip that I came across earlier this week. It's a video clip of a transgender black woman. So it's a trans woman, which means it's a biological male. And the transgender does admit in the video clip that he is a he. But as you see in my thumbnail title, it says the trans sanity of it all. And I just feel like, and I know I'm not the only person to feel this way, but a lot of these transgenders feel like they get to tell straight black men, straight men, period, what type of man we are, or where our masculinity is at based on whether or not we feel comfortable talking to them or dating them. And I'm just like, we have gone too far as a society. We've become too accommodating. We've become too degenerate. And it's not us straight men that are responsible. Maybe we are a little responsible by not being meaner. Maybe we are a little responsible by not being more, I guess the word I'm looking for is we have kind of been on the sidelines with the LGBT and the trans and all that stuff. And what I mean by that is a lot of these transgenders and LGBT people, straight people just kind of be like, man, that's their life. I ain't finna get involved. I ain't finna, entertain it. I don't get down like that. I don't have nothing to do with it. Whoop-de-woo. And I get it. I'm kind of like that myself. I kind of just look at it and I shake my head and I keep it moving. I've made videos where I have spoken out against that lifestyle because I'm 100% into women. I believe in God. I wasn't raised to accept that lifestyle. It is what it is. And a lot of people have those same sentiments. We just are oftentimes quiet about it. And like the old saying goes, man, sometimes silence can equal compliance. Meaning that by not saying nothing is almost like saying that you approve of it, which is not the case. But to them, if you have less and less people confronting them, why would they not say the stuff they're saying? Why would they not change? So without further ado, I'm gonna play the clip. I'm gonna interrupt maybe a couple of times, but the transgender was mad because another man, a straight man, I guess, was trying to take the transgender out on a date or something. And I'm gonna talk about these so-called straight men that be going on dates with transgenders and getting into situations where they find out it's really a man, then they off the transgender or they beat the transgender up. We got to have a conversation about those type of dudes because there is no way you did not know that this was a man. This don't look like no woman, don't sound like no woman. All right? And at my big old age of 40 years old, I know I don't look like it. I have never in my life had a transgender in my truck, in my car, in my home. I ain't never had no mistaken identity, bro. It's just not gonna happen. But without further ado, let me go ahead and start the clip. I had to adjust the audio because the audio was a little bit low. But I'm gonna go ahead and play it. Like I said, I'm gonna react a couple of times, but I'm gonna try to let it play through much as I can without interrupting.
Just had a man pick me up for a date. He asked me if I was a man in the car. I said yes. This man turns around and takes me back home. Now, this is a very prime example of somewhat fragile masculinity, but also dishonesty. Not on my end, but on the end of the suitor.
Y'all see what I mean by the transgender done got too emboldened? He said that this is an example of fragile masculinity because the straight man took him home when he found out it was a he. But I'm going to go back to the video. I got a lot to say once we get done with the video.
I met him last Friday at a club when I was out with my girlfriends. At some point, we duck off, we're talking, we're chatting, we're dancing, we're like really having a good time. We're throwing banter back and forth, we're being flirty, all these things. Mind you, I am flat-chested as fuck. I am not a woman. I'm just a very beautiful man. Proceeds to kiss me, XYZ, right? Has been texting me every day since last Friday when I gave him my number. He proceeds to tell me in the car, I don't really know how to ask this, or, I really just don't know how to bring this up, but are you a man? And I looked at him and I was like, yes, I am. I'm just a very feminine man. He pulls over and he's like, I just want to sit over and just like kind of talk about this for a second. I'd never been in this position before, so I'm just like not really sure how to handle it. I had an inkling of a thought, but I didn't want to ask you and you be offended if you were not. However, it's just not something that I'm into particularly. And I think that's part of a bigger conversation as it relates to Black men being interested in just feminine energy, period. He proceeded to apologize and he's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I just like felt like I needed to get this off my chest and at least just ask. But if I'm being honest, I was just like, okay, yeah, like that's fine. Like no harm, no foul. Like it's all good. He's like, is it okay if I just, turn around and take you back home? I'm like, absolutely. Yes, please. We sat there in silence as he did a U-turn and literally dropped me back off. But it goes to show that sexuality truly is a spectrum. And while people may not be into whatever parts people have or whatever the case may be, people are just attracted to energy, period, which is okay. That's totally fine. I completely respect that. I'm not one of those gays that are like, I'm going to go get the trade and do this, that, and the third. That's really not my vibe. And if you are, I mean, pop off queen, do your big one. But I guess my biggest problem is if you had an inkling of a thought or you felt any type of way, you should have quite literally just asked and been honest from the very beginning. Here, I spent an hour and a half getting ready for a date, not really into it, but like I was like open to, just seeing what happens, what would, transpire out of the whole situation. And yet, here we are. Now, this is a first for me. I've never had this happen to me before. This is something new to me. I'm not humbled in the slightest because I'm a bad bitch. Look at me. Like, hello. And I know this is not in vain. I know that God has a partner for me out in the world, wherever he may be. But that shit was crazy as fuck. And for my theys, my girls, my dolls out there in the world, y'all be safe out there. Truly just be safe. Because for a slight moment in time, I was actually kind of scared for a minute. But yeah, y'all, I don't know. Am I tripping? Y'all let me know what y'all think. Because I've quite literally never experienced anything like this before. Like, oh my God, I'm like kind of floored. But anyway, on to the next, babes. That's fine. To Mr. Sir, good luck to you. And yeah, I don't know, y'all. It's just so funny. I'm like literally just sitting here in silence, like, oh my God, like I need to like talk to someone about this. But anyway, okay. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I don't know.
All right, so I only interrupted one time, which was my goal to not interrupt too much. First of all, like I said, I personally believe that the transgenders of today's society have gotten too bold. They've gotten too comfortable. And I don't know who this dude is. Some people said this could be a skit. It very well may be a skit. But we do have real life examples of biological males that will, I guess you could say, try to talk to a transgender. Sometimes they'll actually have relations with the transgender. And we'll see situations where the, transgender ends up on the news as a homicide victim. And a lot of people in the comment section when I first saw this was like, you better be glad that's all the dude did was turn around and take you home. Now, the transgender said that the dude they met at a club, prior. They met at a club. And, sometimes you at the club, I'm too old to go clubbing. If I do go to a club at my age, I'm most likely going to be VIP. And I'm going to be sitting around with people that's clubbing because I'm not finna just go to the club at my age. Like I'm going out with somebody because they asked me to come out with them. It's somebody's birthday, somebody's celebrating something, whatever. I'll go to a lounge. I'll go to a bar. That's what people my age do. Like I'm too old to be going to a nightclub with some 25-year-olds bouncing around to some mumble rap that I don't even like. I don't even like rap like I used to. I listen to very little rap these days. But irrespective of my personal life, I just wanted to say that when I was clubbing, I know when you're trying to talk to a person in the club, it be dark. You might be drinking real good if you drink. And when I was clubbing in my younger days, I'll be drinking, I'll be smoking weed, I'll be, inebriated, right? Not all the time, but a lot of times. And I might not know. I might see that female I talked to in the club on a date, maybe 2-3 weeks later, in the light, and ain't no alcohol in my system, and I see her a little bit differently than what I remember at the club. But it's still a female. And guess what? I'm talking on the phone to the female before we even go out. Like, we going out on a date. And I'm not finna take no woman out on a date that I ain't talked to, that I ain't at least had no phone conversation with. Several phone conversations. So you mean to tell me that you took this you picked the transgender up, and then while y'all was in the car and y'all were, potentially going to a destination, he asked you, were you a biological man? And he said, yeah, I'm a man. He said in the video, I'm not a woman, I'm just a beautiful man. I'm a bad bee. And I'm just like, dude, a lot of black women hype these dudes up. And of course, they hype their own selves up. And their LGBTQ counterparts hype them up. They getting lied to on all fronts. Right? So, if this is a real story, if this is something that actually did happen, I question the biological male, the so-called straight male's sexual orientation, because my thing is, bro, how did you not know that was a man? Did you not know that that was not a real woman? Like, and salute to the dude for turning around and dropping the transgender back off. Maybe he was intoxicated at the club. Maybe he don't remember talking to the transgender, how the transgender sounded, because to me, that didn't sound like no woman. Like, you can tell when a man that's gay is trying to talk like a girl versus a woman that's actually born as a woman, right? Now, if they get the surgery with the vocal cords and all that, it might be a little bit more difficult to tell, but I ain't trying to sit here and say I'm just the strongest, most powerful alpha male. I don't really do all that. I'm just going to say this about myself. I'm a very, very traditional, conservative, masculine man. And I have certain values and certain beliefs, and I'm unapologetic about that. And what that means is, because my masculine energy is so strong, I have to have an extremely feminine woman to satisfy me. She has to look feminine. She has to dress feminine, meaning dresses, nice body. Like, I can go into graphic detail on what I like from a woman and her body and all that. That's not necessary for this video, but the way she looked, the way she smelled, it's just so many different little small things that I pay attention to that makes me more and more interested in a woman that are synonymous with feminine energy. Like, your femininity got to be on like 1,000 for me to be like crazy about you. And I'm not finna pick no woman up and take her out on a date and spend my hard-earned money on her if I'm not attracted to her, if I'm not interested in her, if I don't want to be seen with her. Like, it's a lot of boxes that got to get checked off. And that's why I question, like, who is this dude? And it's always easy to rush to conclusion when you only have one side of the equation, when you only have one side of the story. So we don't know who this mystery man is. We don't know what city they in. If I had to guess, I would say they're out west somewhere. It looked like they're in a desert city, because I could look in the background of I guess he was in a hotel or maybe a condo. I don't know, but I saw the skyline, a little bit of the skyline in the back. I'm usually pretty good at skylines, but I couldn't see enough of it to guess. I want to say Las Vegas, but I can't really make it out because it wasn't enough of the city buildings in the background. But regardless of what city that this transgender was located in, they're everywhere. They're all over the country. And I just personally feel like, a lot of these so-called straight men that be getting in these situations with these trannies, a lot of them might be curious about being with a transgender. A lot of them might not be truly heterosexual. And sometimes these dudes might be second guessing it. They might be like, damn, I know this is a biological man, but I low-key find this biological man attractive. And if you are into men and you a man, you just got to accept the fact that you got some issues you need to work out with yourself. But there's no way that a truly straight man would have mistaken this transgender for a woman. Like I said, you in the club, you drinking if you drink, and it's dark. You know, you got lights in the club, but it's not like bright light, right? The lights don't come on in the club until they get ready to close the club. You know how it go. They turn the lights on. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell out of here. That's how it used to be when I used to go clubbing. The lights will come on at the end of the night. Last song. You know, they might play a slow song. You might be dancing with a female, flirting with a female. You know, 30 minutes to an hour before the club closed. Last call for alcohol, whatever. And that's how it used to be in my day. I'm an 80s baby. I don't know about this new generation. But I do know that I have seen lots of stories over the past, I would say, 5-10 years or so where transgenders have ended up losing their life because straight men are supposedly straight men done found out they done slept with a tranny. And like I said, bro, I believe these dudes be gay and they take the transgender life away. They delete the transgender because either the transgender exposed them or maybe they feel like they don't get exposed. They don't want nobody to find out. Or they just sick with themselves. They can't live with the decision they made to run up in another man's booty hole. Because you cannot mistake no vagina for no anus. It just ain't no way, bro. It's just not. It's not. They don't look the same. They don't smell the same. They ain't made of the same type of, skin. Look, bro, I ain't no doctor or nothing like that, but there are some very critical differences between an anus and a vagina. And I'm going to leave it at that. So, don't know if this was a skit or not, but this is a relevant conversation to be had because you do have a lot of biological males that's posing as women. And some of these men that's supposed to be straight be sleeping with them. And they don't want to get exposed. And, this transgender right here is a prime example. That's a gay man with a dress on and a wig or whatever. And gay men tend to be real messy. They tend to run their mouth a lot. They love exposing supposedly straight men for being gay on the low. So, I don't really know what to believe. All I know is this is a real thing. It happens all the time. And that was my perspective. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. I'll catch up.